Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I'm gonna teach you how to make Borts. And Borts is not many people confuse Borts with the Ukrainian kind of soup with beetles. That is Borts, which is like a dried uh, meat that Mongolian riders and nomads made, like in the time of Genghis Khan, and even these days, Mongolian nomads still make this. And there are a lot of similarities with beef jerkies, but there's one big difference that can change a whole thing and could be even be beneficial for you preppers for storage meat. And before we start doing this, if you're interested in detective stories, there will be a link in the description to my book called Bloody Crosses. It's a detective story, so if you're interested, take a look. So, Borts is just like beef jerky. It's just pieces of meat that you cut into thin, long pieces, and yeah, you just let it dry. But there is a big difference with Borts, and that is that you how do you say this, hammer the meat, tenderize the meat. So I'm going to tell you in a minute what all the benefits are in contrary to beef jerky, but the big difference is just that a piece of meat like this, you just tenderize it. Normally you would do this with a tenderizer tool, like one of those mallets or one of those hammers with pins, or just one of those things that you press with needles, but I don't have one of those, and I just use the underside of my knife. And it is actually a little bit of a good thing because it's a little bit pointy but still round, so it doesn't cut the meat, so it just pulverize it. And this could take a while depending on how much meat you will be making, but if you want to do it yourself in a hurry, depending on how thorough you want, do you want it very thin, do you want it very very thin, and we will tell you in a minute why that could be important. As you can see, this was a sort of meat that was this size, and if you see now, it is much thinner, and you can almost see through certain fibers. So what you want to do with the tenderizing is that you will break up the collagens, the tendons, the muscle fiber, and other types of fiber, and you want to make it. You want to scramble it without detaching those fibers and collagens. So yeah, you have to be careful that you do not double layer it. But as you can see, you can almost see through the fibers, and then we're gonna show you later on, later in the video, the result of it. And I must say the taste is not what you will expect, contrary to beef jerky. So these are all this kind of piece of meat, and you can see they are tenderized, so you can fit a lot of it, you can fit a lot of meat on it. But I will tell you about, before I'm going to continue and show you the result from the dry oven, I will tell you first what the benefits are of this. Benefits of Borts is that is when it's dried after it's been tenderized, you should dry it. Mongolian nomads would dry it for months in their huts, in their yurts, hanging it on the ceiling, let the air dry it, or dry and free during winter time while it's also freezing for against bacteria grow. So that kind of stuff. But I have a dry oven, and with that thing, I usually do it in 10 hours at 71 degrees Celsius. And that usually takes almost everything out of moisture out of it, or at least beneath the 10%, which inhibits bacterial and mold grow. So that's some how you actually make it. But yeah, I'm going to start with the benefits. Uh, Many people would say, but it's just the same thing as beef jerky. But there are some differences. Beef jerky is like you have to really pull it, but because Borts is so flattened and the fibers are already being tenderized, it's easier to chew and to digest. So that is handier for people who have perhaps bad teeth, aching teeth, or they have a wound to their mouth, so they cannot eat it or chew it thoroughly. But we will talk about later how to make it more chewable, even more. But and also easier to digest. Some people, especially during stress situations like bug out scenarios, disaster scenarios, whatever, they are going to have troubles with their stomach because whether it's stress or they have eaten things that upset their stomach. So if you have something easy to chew and easy to digest, that could be very helpful to get proteins and calories inside without having it too much on your stomach, and it will come out by whether it's stress or some other foods, or perhaps you're sick, that kind of stuff. So that's already a first big difference in contrary to beef jerky. Another thing is because you flatten the meat. I will take one of these perhaps. Because you flatten the meat, there is more surface area. Not only it is wider, but you can see there are more cracks and holes inside of it. So there is more surface area of the same piece of meat than, for example, something like this, which is perhaps thicker, but uh, it is still inside of it. So it's a smaller surface. And that can take in more flavor, more nutrients absorption in, for example, in a stew or in a soup. Because a problem could be uh, perhaps some people have this problem like me. If you eat ramen noodles and yeah, you like the taste, you like the taste of the soup, but the problem can be the moment the ramens are gone, it's a little bit too bitter, too potent to just drink it up. There are certain ramens which is not the case, but in my case, usually I eat very spicy food. I mean spicy ramen, so spicy that I cannot just drink the soup without burning up. So if you have some more surface to absorb it in meat, that could be more help get it more digestible and getting more of the flavor and the nutrients inside of the meal that you're taking. Or for certain people, perhaps it could be helpful in that way. Another thing is faster cooking. If you're going to cook with dried boards, yeah, at the end of the video I will show you the result. By the way, for all you TikTok brainers, um, it's faster cooking, so you will need less fuel if you're going to cook it in the field or perhaps home when fuel is scarce, or you're in the wild, and especially during wintertime, less dry wood you can find, or you have only certain amounts of gas in your camping stoves, for example. Uh, Another thing is it's very lightweight. This is one of the reasons this was very successful with Genghis Khan with his Mongol horde, because villages in Mongolia would almost like industrialize this for the warriors by the children and the women, that they would tenderize the meat, dry it for a period, and then the warriors on their horseback could take this in their saddlebags without spoiling it, without being spoiled. And they say that a Mongol warrior with all the boards that was dried, because whenever something like this dries, it will get very small and even more thinner because this is made out of beef. I also got some Borts made out of horse meat, to a little bit for the original thing. So yeah, it is very lightweight because there is almost no moisture. It will shrink rapidly, and you can and I will tell you later about this, but you can also crumble it into smaller pieces, or you can even powder it that way and use it in soups or stews like that. So that's also a very big difference. So for a bug out bag, this is absolutely an amazing food to have. What was I telling? A Mongol rider could have 120 days of boards, words of food as boards in their saddlebags to ride on and to go to war on campaign. So yeah, that's a lot. That's a very long time for something that you could carry on a horse. Imagine you carrying 120 days of food on a horseback in modern times. Yeah, that bag is going to be very full. Another thing I would say is it's faster to dry. So if you want to do it in a shorter time, or perhaps you want to produce it a little bit like the Mongol villages did. It is a faster drying because there is more surface, it's thinner, and because you tenderized the fibers loose, there is the moisture can more easily dry, escape, and dampen, and that way you can save a lot of electricity, like in a dry oven, or just hang it somewhere, and there will be less chance that flies, other insects, or mold can get to it, so to say, if it dries faster. And another thing I would say is, it's perhaps this is more my personal opinion, but I think it's more healthier, more filling, fresher, and better taste. Uh, Although that sounds more subjective of me, the reality is, since I followed a carnivore diet, I noticed that I don't have that much hunger. So it's more filling, and it's more healthy for me because I stay on my weight, even though I'll eat less because I eat more meat, more fats, and less sugary things. And whenever I eat sugary things, I I feel more hungry quicker behind it. But when I do something like beef jerky, Borts for example here, whenever I do that, I can eat less of it and feel more fulfilled and have longer energy, because when I eat something with sugar, it can go up, but it goes down very fast. With meat, it always stays the same. So that's a big difference in if you're going on a bug out. Because if you're going on a bug out and you have, for example, Borts, like a meat product, in your bug out bag as your rations, and you have to do a lot of physical labor, walking during with your bug out bag. You don't want those. It's like drinking coffee. Yeah, you have energy and you're awake for a short moment, hyper, that kind of stuff, but the crash is very bad. The same thing goes with sugar. So boards could be a very good energy way to have to maintain a constant energy level during your bug out. I thought I heard something. All right. So it's more filling that way. It's healthier also because, in contrary to modern rations, for example, those are usually, or some other processed foods. This is just pure meat, meat that you can catch yourself. You can get it from your own cattle, or your own animals that you raise and slaughter and process. So I would say it's more healthier that way objectively, and it's not fresh because it's dried, but it is a fresher taste, I would say. In contrary to, if it's a big difference that you make something like this, you dry it and you perhaps boil it, put it in other foods. It will taste better than you open a can of meat. We all know if you open a can of meat and you smell it, it doesn't make your mouth water, is what I'm trying to say. So that's also a very big difference. uh, you can eat it in several kind of options. You can just eat it the same way as a jerky, like between big meals, if you don't have time to set up a fire and cook during a bug out scenario, or you don't have the fuel to do it during, to cook on a regular base, that you have to to cook together with the same fire during a bug in scenario. Whether which one it is, you can just eat it dry as a jerky, same way, but it's a little bit more. How do you say this? Um More cracking. How do you say this? That it's more like that sound that it will make, and you will, like I said before, you will have less chewing going on. You can just boil it, perhaps together with other foods. It's no problem. You can put it in soups to fortify a soup, for example. If you got one of those bags as in a bug out bag, you can use it as in stews. You can even grind it up in smaller pieces and even grind it and make it in sort of a powder, pemmican, that kind of stuff. So those are things you can all use Borts inside of it. The calories of Borts is just like dried beef, so to say. So it's like 386 calories for every 100 grams. So Yeah, it's not bad. And the thing is actually it is actually pure calories and protein. But proteins are needed for something exhausting and physical demanding, like a bug out scenario. So for a bug out back, it is perfect. If you're going to do a bug in scenario, I would say you need to mix it with other nutrients. So if you're only going to eat protein, yeah, you get your calories, but you don't get your nutrients. So boil it, stew it, bake it together with herbs and other plants that you forage, perhaps, to get the nutrients inside of it, like vitamins, minerals, that kind of stuff. So that is pure protein. So I'm going to finish this batch of Borts, and within a minute, yeah, for you, within a few seconds for you, I will show you the result from putting it inside of my dry oven. So see you in a few seconds. All right, here we are. After 10 hours of drying at 71 degrees Celsius, we now got Borts. So as you can see, that is very thin. You can almost see through it, and it is very dry. And the way I'm going to do this, by the way, this is the beef Borts, and this is the horse meat Borts. They are both very fine, as you can hear. Mm. They are very crunchy. I'll take another one. This one seems like a very crunchy one. They are very, like I said, very crunchy. A very good taste too. So I think it's even better because, like I said before, there is more because the fibers are broken. There is more surface, and you got no more surface to taste it. So imagine, excuse me, that is also the problem because it's crunchy. It can break off into smaller pieces into your throat. So be very carefully when you eat it dry. What I'm going to say. Oh yeah. Um, yeah, I lost my track of thoughts. But the thing is, because it's very crunchy, you can also break it and use a mallet, or not a mallet, a mortar to make this into powder, and then you will even have more room. So, just for example, this is a regular beef jerky. As you can see, that is thick, still rather big, and that compared to the thickness of one of these butch. So, like you can see, you can make a whole load of these. Because you saw when I put it on the trays before, you saw that the whole trays were kind of full, but now you can see how much this meat has shrunken because it dried. So what I do now is I'm going to use my vacuum back sealer, and I'm gonna take out all of the air. I'm gonna put a little deoxidizer inside of it, and I'm gonna take out the air, and I'm gonna vacuum pull the air out of it, and I'm gonna seal it. So that way you now got a very thin bag to put in your bug out bag, and it is very light. But there is one problem you need to take into account, because as I showed you, and this is the point that I wanted to make, because it's very crunchy and very dry. It is beneath 10% water. How do you say this? That there is moisture inside of it. So bacteria, mold cannot really grow inside of it. But if you're going to put it in a vacuum bag like this, there is one problem, and that is because it's so hard and crunchy, it can poke holes through your bag. So what you're going to do is, perhaps I'm gonna show you. This is the bag I'm going to put it in. Yeah, I hurt my hand today, so don't worry about that. So we're gonna take some of the borch, and if you're going to vacuum, put this in the vacuum bag, the problem is it will puncture through. So take your the moment there is enough meat of it, you just try to squash it already a little bit. I don't say you have to break it into the smallest pieces, but try to break off the sharp corners, and the moment you will vacuum seal it, there will be less chance that one of these sharp edges will poke through it. But I have a second bag ready in case it will happen, because when this happens, when I make borts, that's the only downside. Beef jerky, you can do it in one bag. Borts, you have to vacuum seal first. Try to vacuum seal first the first bag, and if there is a puncture inside of it, you can put it into the second bag. And because this first bag crunches already and has a protective layer for the second bag, then it's a better way. You have to use two bags for this, but now at least it will not puncture the second bag for my bug out bag. So that's very good. By the way, don't do double bags with condoms. That is a very bad idea. But for boards, it's a very good idea. So it is my video on how to make boards and the reasons why and what you need to watch out for. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope I'm going to keep using this, because boards is so much better than beef jerky for a bug out scenario, is what I'm trying to say. So I'll give you all the reasons why and what you can do with it, benefits, disadvantages. One more disadvantage I want to tell you, because it's so dry, it can take up on moisture easily from the air if it's not in a vacuum bag. If you're just going to put it inside of a container, be aware that it needs to be very dry, because the moment there is some moisture in the container, it will take it up and it can feed bacteria or mold. So that's something you need to watch out for. Alright, I'm going to vacuum seal all these boards. So like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you in the next video. Cheers!